Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya 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 Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya 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 Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yaseta Gadadha Shivashati Gaur Bhakta Vedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yaseta Gadadha Shivashati Gaur Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Hare Krishna. It's a pleasure to be here. All of the Vaishnavas, Trinidad, a few other places. And I'm sorry I've been a little under the weather. Still am, but not as bad as before. So today, I wanted to speak about something very important about Bhagavad Gita. And to illustrate that, I would like to read a very famous verse, which we all know. Which is 9:27. Yat karoshi yadasnasi yat johosi tatasi yat yat tapasyasvi konteya tat karushva darpanam yat karoshi yadasnasi yat johosi tatasi yat yat tapasyasvi konteya tat karushva darpanam yat, whatever. Karoshi, you do. Yat, whatever. Ashnasi, you eat. Yat, whatever. Johoshi, you offer. Dadasi, you give away. Yat, whatever. Yat, whatever. Tapasyasi, austerities you perform. Kunteya, O son of Kunti. Tat, that. Karishva, do. Mat, unto me. Arpanam, as an offering. Translation and purport. As divine grace of the Bhagavad. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Please repeat. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, or give away, or whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering unto me. Purport. Thus, it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for the maintenance of his body and soul together. And Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. Everyone has to eat something to live. Therefore, he should accept the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious, ritualistic ceremonies. Therefore, Krishna recommends, do it for me. And this is called archana. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna consciousness movement. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process, which is not practical in this age. But if anyone practices meditating on Krishna 24 hours a day by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra round on his beads, Hare Krishna round his beads, he is surely the greatest meditator and the greatest yogi, as sustained in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Om Jnana Tasyavinam Janashanakaya Chakshurumenitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Vichaitanya Manobhishtam Stavitam Yena Buddhade Swayam Bhagata Madhyam Tadati Shva Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Buddhade Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devaro Navani Pacharya Vishesha Srimad Bhagavatam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Radha Shivashari Gaur Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram. So here, Krishna says earlier in this chapter Maya dakshena prakriti suyase achara chara. That I am the superintendent of this material energy. So I always make the point that if someone creates something, there is a purpose. Just like one time I was doing Sankirtan in Guatemala, up in the mountains, where the people don't even speak Spanish, they speak, I can't remember the name of the language, but anyway, they don't know it. And so we went up into these villages to distribute books. We could only distribute a few books because only a few people spoke Spanish. But I went into one house and I saw the man on the wall. There's no electricity there, but he had an electric skillet. You know? So I said, "What is that for?" He said, "It looks very nice." I asked him where he got it. He said, "I found it." So that is not the purpose of the skillet. So therefore, but because he has no idea, then he thought it was very wonderful. So Krishna creates material energy and supervises it in the form of dharma, not in the form of Krishna. Krishna has better things to do. I mean, most people in all religions, they think the deity in India, the deity in the Christian world, the Savior, Muslim world, the Prophet, that they're all teaching that God's main activity is just to fulfill my desire. And so this is something that filters down to all of us, because this is called the consumer mentality. Consumer mentality, which is permeating the whole world nowadays, is based on greed. Otherwise, you create more and more greed, and then people will buy more. When buying more and increasing greed only increases the negative mentality of the living into, where people think more about money and things in this world than they do about their real existence. Therefore, Krishna speaks here that if I'm the superintendent and I've created this world for a specific purpose, then he's instructing us here. He's not giving a suggestion. It doesn't say here, maybe, you know, if you like, you know, if it suits you, you know, if it's your karma, you know, if it's your, according to your particular mode, preferable mode of nature. It says, Krishna says, he's giving a direction. The whole Bhagavad Gita is meant to transform the whole material world. Krishna says in the beginning of this chapter that Raja Vidya, this is the highest knowledge. There's nothing higher. Otherwise we can't come up with something better than Bhagavad Gita. Who can speak 700 perfect Sanskrit verses in 45 minutes that revolutionized the world for thousands of years? Who can do that? Now many people, just like when Sri Chaitanya Maharaj was here, so he met with the Digvijay Pandit, and this Digvijay Pandit, Keshava Kashmiri, he wanted to defeat everyone. So he came to Navadvip, and he thought that Navadvip, greatest scholars, some of the greatest scholars on the planet, one of the most advanced, civilized areas of pious activities. If I can defeat these Brahmins, I will be the greatest Brahmin. Krishna, he also says, he says, I am the greatest. He doesn't say, I will become the greatest. He says, I've always been the greatest. But I don't have to say that. But Arjuna, Krishna didn't need to prove it. But Arjuna wanted him to prove it. And therefore, he requested in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, show who you are. Show who you are. And Krishna says, I can only do that to you, but by Arjuna's evidence, then we understand Krishna is the Supreme Person. So, this Brahman, he went around, and all the Brahmins who saw him, they were running away. He had a big elephant, a big procession. They could see who he was. And then finally somebody said, he said, who is the greatest Brahmin here? Will no one challenge me? He said, go see Nimai. He's the greatest. He's the greatest. And when he arrived in Nimai, he said, this young boy. He said, this is, what kind of a challenge is this? This young whippersnapper. So, he sat down, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered obeisances. He said, oh, you're such a great scholar. So he asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why don't you say something? Why don't you compose something? He said, you are the greatest scholar, you compose something, and I will listen. So he also composed 100 verses, very quickly, to the point where all of the associates of Mahaprabhu, the young boys who were there, their mouths were open. They were amazed at the ability of this Brahman. And then he looked at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, so, what do you think? He said, oh, it's very nice. Just that, in verse number 51, there are 3 errors of redundancy, and he pointed out 2 more mistakes. And he said, of course, there are other mistakes in other verses. And he said, she tried to be faint. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went away. He didn't know what to do. He prayed to Mother Saraswati that you gave me the blessing that I would never be defeated by any Brahman, any normal person. She said, what can I do? She answered him, what can I do? He said, you have met my master. How can I defeat my master? He is my master, he is your master, he is everyone's master. So then he contemplated that, and he went back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu instructed him that you have such great knowledge, why don't you use it to glorify the Supreme Lord? But don't ride on a big elephant. Walk and show the fruit of knowledge. So Krishna, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya, the greatest knowledge. Otherwise, the point is that we have to put the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in the first position in our lives, the most important knowledge, the most important thing. Krishna consciousness is not a religion, as Srila Prabhupada said. Although it is it is the perfection of all religious activity, as Krishna himself says. It is the perfection, it's the personification of religion. And Raja Vidya, it answers every question. There's nothing, as Krishna says in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, once you have this knowledge, there's nothing more to be known. There may be more details. So many details in this material world. Just like someone here may be a carpenter or something, they may have know so many details about cutting wood that we don't know. But will that take us back home, back to God? will that give us the perfection of life? No. The perfection of life, perfection of is given by Krishna. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita, because nowadays, just like here in a predominantly Christian and Hindu world, in this island, predominantly, those two things, we look at either one of them. Are they the perfection of religion? Just like Hinduism, one of the most important tenets of Hinduism, or Vedic civilization, as Srila Prabhupada said, Vedic civilization has three aspects. One, to create the atmosphere for love of God. Another one, to support Brahminical culture. But real Brahminical culture doesn't mean the Brahmanas we have in Trinidad or even in India. It means Vaishnava culture. And the most important thing Srila Prabhupada said, protection of the cow. So how are the Hindus here or in India, anywhere? A few of them may be doing it here or there. But in general, are they doing their dharma? Namo Brahmanya Divaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Chant. Srila Prabhupada said that even Krishna gives more importance to the cows than the Brahmana. So, in Christian dharma, they're supposed to love thy neighbor as thyself. Is everyone doing that? So where is dharma? And also, we should analyze our dharma. Our dharma depends on Bhagavad Gita. Dharmani Sakshat Bhagavat Pranita. As Yamaraj said to his servant, that real religion means to follow the indications of the Supreme Personality of God. So we should see, are we doing that? As we go through every page of Bhagavad Gita, am I doing these things? Of course, most likely, none of us are doing everything that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Most likely. But we should be striving to do that. Because Krishna consciousness is not, it's not a home religion. Even some of the religions, I guess they have them here, Jehovah's Witness, different kinds of religions. They have very shallow philosophy. Actually, no philosophy in many cases. Just some religious sentiment. But they go out every day and distribute pamphlets. These are not brahmacharis. These are ordinary people like us who take time every day because they understand that, as Krishna said, what to speak of what we have Bhagavad Gita, which is like one of our most basic scriptures. And we're struggling through a lifetime to try to understand it to some degree. But to speak of Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all these wonderful transcendental literatures that we have. But we have to get them out to the people. First we have to get them out to ourselves. Meaning that every day, just like Sutta Goswami says in the Bhagavatam, that every day, we should be hearing Nashta Prayas Bhagavad Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavad Gita Mashloki Bhakti Bhagavati Nashti. That we should be hearing this Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada actually changed that translation himself. When he saw it, it said regularly, and Prabhupada put every day. Because regularly could mean once a year. That's regular. Once a lifetime. So, but actually Prabhupada wanted to make this point, that every day we should be hearing this transcendental knowledge. We probably speak more than any other religion. How many religions do they have programs twice a day for hearing? We have it. Of course, most of us aren't there, but we have that. But every one of us could be there, because everyone can do that in their home. But we come together to hear if what I'm reading is what I'm understanding from this, from what I'm reading, is in concordance with our parampara. And this is what our whole spiritual movement is about. It's totally 100% authoritative. Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna is the transcendental autocrat. Autocrat is not a democratic position. An autocrat is not elected. An autocrat is always there. And Krishna is that supreme autocrat. But he's such an autocrat that everyone loves him. One time Srila Prabhupada said in one class, he said, so someone has said, why are you exploiting these young people? And Prabhupada said, it is true, I am exploiting. But he said, but I am not exploiting for myself. I am exploiting for Krishna. Prabhupada said, living entity means Mamayamam so jivaloka, 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 jivaloka. My head is up. Mamayamam so jivaloka, jivaloka. So, we're minute particles. So a minute particle is not independent. You can't see it. Just like you see a minute particle of dust floating in the air, it's not like it has its own free will. It's being carried by the wind. So we are being carried by some superior force, Mahamaya, Yogamaya. Those are the only two options. There's not like, although Krishna says, Parasya Shaktir Vidaya Vishriyate, Swabhaviki Ganavala Kriyacha. It says that Krishna has unlimited energies, but each one of those energies is being perfectly directed, Swabhaviki, automatically, by Krishna's own will. And Krishna at the same time, he has nothing to do. But sometimes we see Krishna, he's like playing his flute. Here he is, in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's playing his flute with Srimati Radharani, and we get caught up in sentimentalism. That sentimentalism, oh, Krishna is playing the flute, I love Krishna, I hear a few stories about Krishna, and I don't chant my rounds. Or I don't fulfill my understand what Krishna is asking us to do in Bhagavad Gita, through Srila Prabhupada, through our parampara. So therefore, we're following the path, many of us, we follow the path of those that we see who are not following their dharma. Our dharma is very specific, and Srila Prabhupada mentions it here in this purport, that our dharma is to Kirtaniya Sadahari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Krishna says, Satatam Kirtayan Doma, always chant my name, Yatajashka Vidha, and endeavor with great determination. Of course, maybe all of us are endeavoring with great determination in school, in work, in so many different ways. But that's not what Krishna is talking about. We must do that. We must do that. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, everyone is forced to work. This is nothing very wonderful, that someone is working very hard. Nothing great, because everyone is forced by the modes of nature to work in one way or another. Just that each one by their false ego, they think that, no, my work is very important. What I'm doing is greater than what somebody else is doing. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, either a cucumber thief or a diamond thief. Same thing. But the diamond thief thinks, no, I'm a much more advanced thief. And the cucumber thief thinks, no, I'm not a very bad thief. I'm just taking a cucumber. He's taking a diamond. He should be punished. And the diamond thief is thinking, this cucumber thief has no ability. But they're all thieves. And Krishna says in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita that we're also all thieves. We're taking his property. We're taking this body, which doesn't belong to us, and using it for something it's not supposed to do, according to Krishna's plan, who is the supreme superintendent. So we have this vast, wonderful knowledge that sometimes we put off applying it in the proper way. So there was once Narada Muni. I just want to make one more point. I'll tell a little story. That Krishna says in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sahadya Pujashvishta Guru Vasa Prajapatiya Anena Pisavishna Svam Esha Vishta Kamatu, that the whole purpose of this material universe is to perform yajna. But not the yajna like we have. Many people have yajna stalls here in their backyard or front yard or house, or, very popular here in Trinidad. But this is not the yajna. The yajna is Sankirtan Yajna. And so Krishna says, and Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to that wonderful verse, that the perfection of life is that you conduct your life according to the yajna, which is given in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita speaks so much about yajna. But what is that yajna? It is the Sankirtan Yajna. It is the yajna of pleasing Krishna. Someone wrote me a letter and asked permission to do some service. And said, the reason I want to do this service is because I like it. So I wrote back and I said, it's wonderful, I want you to do that service. But you should try to have the best motive. The best motive is not because you like it. The best motive is because it's pleasing to Krishna. There's one verse in the 11th canto, which I can't remember right now, where basically it says, there are 3 things, Krishna says to Uddhava, there are 3 things that we have to do in order to be successful. They dedicate everything to Krishna, obey Krishna, and endeavor to please Krishna. If we do these 3 things, then we'll be successful. So the point is that Krishna has spoken this Bhagavad Gita to transform humanity into something, because there was a humanity there. And Krishna had the Kurukshetra war and wiped out a whole race, practically, because they weren't performing things properly. And sometimes we live within a society, there are certain norms, and we have the tendency to follow those norms. Just like yesterday, when I was coming here, I had the great fortune for 5.5 hours to sit next to a person who had an 8-month-old baby. So everyone kept coming by, saying, "Oh, isn't he? What's her name? Sweet," and, leaning over me. And, oh. But I wasn't thinking like that. Of course, they're thinking like that. There's a reality there. Because everyone appreciates a baby, because the baby, the soul, is closer to the state of original consciousness when recently born into a body. All the anarthas have not manifested. That's where people, it's very funny how in a war, someone will protect a child and they'll kill everybody else. So, but those people were also children once. So the real understanding should be, this child is so wonderful. What can we do to make sure that this child grows up and maintains this innocence, this state of happiness? Of course, every parent thinks that way, every decent parent thinks that way to some degree. They think, I don't want my children to have to go through what I had to go through. Let me leave them something, let me give them something to help them. But it doesn't always pan out. It doesn't always work that way. So, I was seeing the child differently. And finally the man asked me, after about 3 hours, I was getting kicked every glass of water dumped on top of me, after a few other wonderful experiences. He said, so, it seems like you're not very fond of children. I said, yes, my fondness increases according to distance. And I said, yes. I said, children are very wonderful, but we have to learn from them. Otherwise, why do people have children? What is the purpose? The purpose is to learn how to serve. Everything in this life is designed to teach us how to serve, and that serving is the only activity of the living entity. I said, just like you've been here for it's about 4 hours. 4 hours struggling as a child and putting it to sleep, then it wakes up, cries some more, You have to get some milk, you have to do this, you have to take it to the bathroom. I said, I was sitting here trying to chant the holy name of God as much as possible. And so I said, we're doing the same thing. But the result should be that we ultimately understand that everything here is created by the Supreme Lord to teach us something. Every experience in life is meant to teach us something. And if we don't learn that, then we have to come back and learn again. So Narada Muni, he has access to Vaikuntha. And he even has access to Goloka Vrindavan. Doesn't go there so often, but he does go sometime. And so he went to Goloka Vrindavan and he saw Krishna playing his flute. But he didn't see any of his friends. He said, where are your friends? He said, they're delayed. And so Narada Muni, well, why don't you bring more people to the spiritual world? If there weren't enough. And Krishna said, it's not that easy. And Narada Muni, he said, I will show you. I will send you to the world. There is my devotee there. I can't remember the name of the devotee. He said, so you tell him that I am inviting him to come directly to Goloka Vrindavan. Well, certainly he'll jump you. It's your devotee. So he went to the devotee and he said, Narada Muni told us, oh, my dear Lord, my Lord, he's so wonderful. Thank you, my Lord. He said, so, let's go. He said, yes, there's just one thing. That my daughter has not been married yet. So, if you just give me 6 months. But Krishna is inviting you to Goloka Vrindavan. Yes, but, what's 6 months compared to eternity? So, all right, 6 months I will come back. He came back in 6 months. Is your daughter married? Yes, thank you very much. So you're ready to go to Goloka Vrindavan? Yes. It's just that now that my daughter is pregnant, I just want to see my grandchild. just to see. Then I'll be completely fulfilled. And I'll be ready to go back. Narada Muni said, you don't understand the nature of Maya. No. I understand, but this is not, this is family. And so he came back after 6 months, and he saw the devotee with a young baby on his knee, going like this, playing with the child, and so there was a dog jumping up and down. So Narada Muni said, "Now let's go." And he said, and he was practically ignoring Narada Muni. He said, "Just see how happy this child is. Just see how happy the dog is." And he was looking at the dog, and all of a sudden he had a heart attack. And he came back as a dog in the same time. And so then Narada Muni came, so merciful. Narada Muni came and he said, "So my dear sir, now you have taken birth as a dog. Now you come and go back home, back to Godhead." And the dog went, "Arr!" Narada Muni. So Narada Muni cursed the dog. "You will become a snake. Maybe you'll finally learn your lesson." So then Narada Muni came back, and the dog took birth as a cobra. But then he came back, he saw the cobra all bloody and, practically dead. He said, "So?" He said, "No, Narada Muni, now I learned my lesson. Definitely, I definitely realized my mistake. And although children come and they beat me with a stick, I don't do anything. I just want to go back home, back to God. Please, please, I made so many foolish decisions." You could remember everything that happened. And Narada Muni said, "All right, you can go back home, back to God. But at the end of this life, but when people come with you with a stick, just show your teeth. Just show your 2 teeth. You don't have to bite them, just show your teeth. And then they will run away. And that way you'll be protected." So the point is that the Lord and His devotees are always looking out to give us the opportunity to go back home, back to God. Just like Srila Prabhupada gave the example of the people who get married and they get on the boat to go to their destination, and they have strong men rowing all night long, and they get up in the morning and they're in the same place. Why? Then they look around, what is the problem? "Oh, we forgot to pull up the anchor." So, that anchor, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told the story originally. That anchor is the anchor of material desire. If we don't pull up the anchor of material desire, it doesn't matter. We may make all these efforts in pious activities and so many things to try to change our condition in this world. But until we're willing to understand that Krishna has his price, as Rupa Goswami says, that Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati, that if you want Krishna Bhakti Rasa, if you want the real taste of Krishna Bhakti, then you have to pay the price. And what is the price? Tattaro yam api mulyam ekalam. The only price is an intense desire to please Krishna. That's the only price. There is no other price. And that desire to please Krishna, just like this man with the baby, the whole time he was suffering. He wasn't enjoying his drink or his meal like everybody else in the airplane. And sleeping, he couldn't sleep. But he was very happy because he was serving the object of his love. And so the object of our love is Krishna. And if we don't serve him, if we allow these things which seem so wonderful to us, just like these people on the airplane who had the baby, they thought, oh, he's so cute, he's so wonderful. if we're swayed by sentimentality of this world, attachment to material things, attachment to power, attachment to position. No, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nadanamna Janamna Sundarim Kavita, that as long as we're attached to wealth, fame, the opposite sex, or fruitive activity, we will not be able to execute the real purpose of life, which is birth after birth, bhavatat bhakti or ahituki. To Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, ahituki, what kind of service? Bhagavad Bhakti, your devotional service, my Lord, ahituki, free from any motivation, simply full of humility, full of tolerance, full of all these wonderful qualities that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indicates. Then we can be successful in our spiritual life. Unfortunately for most of us and our present state of material desires, Krishna consciousness is meant for pure devotees. Otherwise it's made for pure devotees. The Bhagavatam says, dharma kaitava, no, dharma kaitava, dharma projiti kaitava, paramo nimaksaranam, that this Krishna consciousness begins when you reject all forms of religiosity that are self-motivated. It begins there. And it flourishes, paramo nimaksaranam sukam, when one is free from envy. So that is the beginning. The beginning is, as Krishna says, when you realize that this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge, is something so wonderful. It's the highest, and therefore it has the highest price. It's not some common religious activity that we can just come on every once in a while and be there, although that would certainly help us. But it may not be sufficient to pull up our anchor of material desire, which is not easy for anyone. Be a sannyasi, grihastha, brahmachari, whatever, avaduta, whatever you may be. It's not easy to do. We've been given the greatest gift. Namo Maha Krishna Prabhupada Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurati. We've been given this greatest gift to be able to go back home, back to Godhead. It's like you read in the newspaper, so-and-so died, went to heaven. In the newspaper, they can announce that. Otherwise it becomes so cheap it could just be a newspaper announcement. No. It's the most wonderful thing. And therefore the whole point I wanted to make is such a great thing we're receiving, but we have to be willing to pay the price. And that price is sacrifice, surrender. And the purpose is, as Srila Prabhupada says here, Satatam Kirtayantamam, to all come to the point of being able to meditate on Krishna, beginning with offering what I do, what I eat, what I offer, what I give away, what I sacrifice. To be able to do all that for Krishna, but ultimately to be able to meditate on Krishna. And meditating on Krishna means chanting the holy name without offenses. And to chant the holy name without offenses, we have to be able to come to that's the platform of bhakti. And to come to the platform of bhakti, Brahmabhutta Prasanatman Shurchatina Kamshati, we have to be beyond hankering, beyond lamentation, beyond anger, because things didn't go like I wanted. We have to Samasarvasya Bhuteshu, see all living entities, what to speak of the devotees, all living entities as the same. Of course, some people do see everyone as the same. They think they're all jerks. But that's not exactly what Krishna had in mind. To see everyone. I was telling someone the other day that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that a lusty man sees all women and women as lusty. A thief sees everyone else as an equal exploiter. But a servant sees everyone else as master. This is the big difference. So this is the vision we want to develop. To see everyone as our master. To see everyone as the object of our service. To see the deity as my life and soul. And to see Krishna as the object of every endeavor. Anyway, these are some thoughts I had on this verse and this little thing I was meditating on yesterday as I was coming between the kicks and the glasses of water. One of them was ice water, which wasn't very pleasing to my condition, but anyway, I got like 3 glasses of water on top of it yesterday. Free. So anyway, I'll stop here. Just time for, won't be any time for questions, but if anybody has a question afterwards, certainly I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sri Gaurachandra ki jai.